Welcome to Mediocre Gaming, and today we're playing Deep Rock Galactic. Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I'm Zero. Let's get to it. So today we're doing the deep dive, codenamed Deadly End. But before we get to that, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, smash that subscribe button, and ring that bell to be notified of all future episodes as soon as they go live. So let's get into it. First stage of the deep dive has you extracting crystallized morkite and repairing 2 mini mules. So unlike a normal salvage mission, you don't have to do all the steps. You just have to get the mini mules, and you'll see them and hear them. They'll beep and they'll have that green glow around them. Morkite, you'll have to look at the walls and the ceiling and the floor and try and find that dark speckly glow, or throw a flare and find out that it's actually morkite. And of course, while you're doing all this, you're going to be, under siege by swarms of enemies. So you want to keep your eyes open and your head on a swivel. So like a normal mining mission, you do have access to a mule on this one. So when you get full or get near to being full, you can call Molly over and you can dump in your resources that you've collected so far. Now this is a good time to point out that the deep dive is a raid-like environment where there are 3 stages, and you can do it by yourself with your buddy Bosco or with up to 3 other players, either match-made or pre-made. Decision is up to you. Now it is completely possible to do it solo. However, it will take you longer to do it solo than with other people. And of course, your mileage may vary depending on how experienced the people that you are doing the deep dive with, how experienced they are with missions in general, and what perks they have, etc. So with the mini mules, you're going to look for. You can scan the mini mule, and then you can find the legs. You attach the legs. Once you have all the legs attached, you repair it. Once you get both of them done, you're done with that objective. Unlike normal missions, you have 2 main objectives, mandatory, so you can't leave until you get both of them done. But once you have all the morkite and the mini mules repaired, you can call in the drop pod and get out. You can hit the button on the mule. That'll call in the drop pod. You can follow the mule back to the drop pod, so long as the mule doesn't do any crazy things like climbing straight vertically up a wall through a hole. You should be okay. Now you are going to have swarms of enemies while you're trying to make your way out, so do make sure that you are running past the ones that you can and taking care of the enemies that you would have trouble running past. So the mule will put down little beacons, flags, as the mule's going along. So all you have to do is follow the flags. If you think you know where you're going, you can go ahead and go ahead to where you think it's going to be. If you're not sure, you can always follow the mule, and if you get turned around at some point, you can always go back to where you last saw the mule to make your way out. So just make sure that you're following those little flags, beacons. They've got little arrows on them pointing in the direction that the mule is going, so it's not a big deal. As I said, so long as the mule isn't going up a vertical cliff where it is near impossible to replicate with your dwarves, since they don't have any anti-gravity boots that can do that kind of traversal. Now if you get to the drop pod before the mule does, you'll have to wait until the mule gets there to dock, and then you can get in. If you follow the mule, you can get right in. And that's it for stage 1. That wasn't too bad, was it? On to stage 2 of the deep dive. Now, stage 2 of the deep dive has 2 modifiers, has shield disruption and volatile guts. That's a double whammy. Shield disruption means that you only have your health, you have no shields whatsoever. And then volatile guts means whenever you take out an enemy unit, it will blow up, which is a double-edged sword. If they're close to other enemies, they'll damage them. If they're close to you, they're going to damage you. And without a shield to absorb some of the damage, you're going to be losing health throughout the stage. Plus, this stage, you have to deal with a dreadnought and industrial sabotage. So you have to get to the power station, make your way, just follow the cables, put down, call in a hacker bot, and then put the orbs down to connect the hacker bot to the power station, and then start hacking. Now you're going to call in a lot of enemies. You're going to make some noise while you're doing that, so you'll have to defend the hacker bot, Haxi. If Haxi takes too much damage, he'll go back into his little drop pod, and you'll have to restart him. Otherwise, just let him do his thing until he gets up, fills that bar up to 100%, and then you're done with that one, but you still have to deal with the other one. And don't forget, you also have to deal with the Dreadnought, which is a boss-like encounter in Deep Rock Galactic, where you have invulnerability stages, you have shielded, etc. In terms of the Lacerator and Arbalist, they can share health. So if you do too much damage on one and not enough on the other, then they will go immune and then heal. So you want to avoid that. So you want to share the damage between the two so that they're more or less even. Once you take one out, then you just have to find the last one and take them out. And then that is it for that. There are several different dreadnoughts that you could encounter. The Arbalist and Lacerator is only one of those. Alright, so even after the dreadnought, you do have to get the second power station taken care of, which means doing the same thing that you did the first time around, where you call in Haxi, connect the two, defend Haxi from the swarms that are going to be coming at you. Once that gets up to 100%, then all you have to do is deal with the Caretaker, take down the shields of the Caretaker, and defeat the Caretaker in order to get the data rack and secure the data rack. Now, the Caretaker is, I would say, a more true boss of Deep Rock Galactic. I don't think we're going to split any hairs with how much harder or easier a Dreadnought is compared to the Caretaker. You want to take down the shielding, which is the vents on the side of the top of those, of that upside down pyramid on the sides. Once you have all 4 of them, then you'll go into the damage stage. One of the 4 eyes on the sides will open up, and that is where you can damage it, and then it'll go immune. And then, of course, you just rinse and repeat. Avoid dying, and of course, it is going to be much harder because of the shield disruption. So hopefully you can find relative safe areas where you can do damage. Now, one other thing about the Caretaker, as you progress through the different phases, you have different modifiers that will be enlisted in order to save the Caretaker itself. So the Caretaker will either throw out patrol bots or turrets or bombs or something will be added to each phase, each new phase. So do keep that in mind. But once you take care of the Caretaker, call in the drop pod and make your way out. So hopefully for this stage, you have plenty of nitra to keep you flush, not only with health, but also with ammo and grenades and traversal ways of getting around the stage, whether it's the zip line of the gunner or the drill of the driller, etc. So make sure that you're flush with nitra so that you can call in those resupplies. Additionally, you'll also want to not only be looking out for nitra, but also for gold. So that's the end of stage 2. This is a good time to point out that everything carries over from one stage to the next. Your health, your ammo, your grenades, traversal tools, and whatever's in your pocket. So if it gets too hairy and you can't deposit it in the mule or the side of the drop pod, you can always do that into the next stage, unless you're on the final stage. Final stage of the deep dive has Mactera plague, which means you're going to see a lot more flyers than normal. Additionally, you're going to be refining liquid morkite and fighting another dreadnought. Dreadnoughts, of course, are the bosses. Liquid morkite, you're going to be looking for those plumes and blue fire. There's going to be 3 of them. You're going to call down the pump jack, and then you're going to connect the framework to the pump jack, and then you're going to build the pipeline out from the rig to the pump jack. Now, once you have all 3 of them, all 3 pump jacks called in, framework connected from the rig to each pump jack, and the pipeline built out from the rig to each pump jack, you're still not done, because you still have to deal with that one dreadnought. Once again, the dreadnought will be the boss-like creature of Deep Rock. Depending on which one you get, will change your strategy slightly. But once you have that done, then you can start refining the liquid morkite. And you'll see it go up on the right side of the screen. It'll go from 0% all the way up to 100%, but at some point, the lines are going to start leaking, and you're going to have to go out and repair the pipelines. There is generally 2, not always, but generally 2 breaks in each pipe, and it'll be flashing red, and then of course wherever it's leaking, you'll have this kind of beacon. Once you have them fixed, it'll turn green. So if you're not sure which one is working and which one's not, which one's leaking, you just look for the color. And then once you have them all done and fixed, then you'll progress further in that stage. Once you get 100%, then send the liquid morkite up to orbit and wait for the drop pod to show up. Now, I would say the rig normally is the worst place to be to try and defend, because you have to worry about every angle, both high, low, in front of you, behind you, and everything in between. So if you can find a good defensible position, that would be preferable to being next to the rig, where you have to be looking all over the place all the time. But once you're ready to go, and I would say as soon as it's done, you're ready to go, go ahead and make your way to the drop pod and get out, and you're done. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to check us out on social media, and thank you for liking, commenting, and subscribing. And we'll see you next time.
Supply pod requisitioned. Launching now. Retrieving escape pod.
Rock and stone like this.
Rock and stone, you beautiful wall.
Rock and rolling
Rock and
stone.
stone.
And stone. some.
プレイステーション